This is the very first episode, the inaugural episode of Pagan Book Appraisals by Ed the Pagan and Reverend Don Lewis. We're long-term book collectors, and we recently got a package from Rob, and he gave me permission to. He gave me the incitement because I've been a long-term book collector. There's some secrets about book collecting that you don't know, so we decided we were going to appraise his box and let him know what he's going to hit. So he's hearing it for the first time, just like you are. You can look at prices. There's all sorts of prices, but these are the prices I believe the market's going to bring us, and you can do so. Before we go any further, housekeeping. Yes, these books will be for sale, and I will probably be involved in the sale of them, just for full disclosure up front. Hi, Don. So we already knows about your library.
Yes.
So you've been a long-term book collector.
Yes, I've been pretty much a book collector all my life because my parents were before me.
Mm-hmm. And so we're going to look into it. And you, of course, you have a love of cult books. So the first thing we got out of the box, there's a lot of great treasures we'll get into, but first we're going to show you this. And these are the age of paperbacks. Because you have quite a few paperbacks in your collection,
Oh my
too.
goodness, yes.
And that was, what, from like the 1960s and 70s?
It was the 60s and 70s. Paperback occult books were far more common outside of just the occult market than they are today.
Coffee. So we're going to go through these really quick. This is Zolaire. In time, this was sold, really hardcore. The occult authority of the 21st century reveals the secrets of past and the key to present and future. Can you talk a little bit about Zolaire?
Zolaire was one of the major writers of the time. He was famous as an astrologer, but he wrote a large number of books.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to go back to the 70s, he would be one of the names that pretty much everyone recognized. And his books are good. I would highly recommend.
Okay, so this one, nice spine. Really glad the spine's not broken. A little bit of broken edging here. First printing of the first popular edition of this book. As you can see, this has got some nice color. It's got yellowed. I mean, this is acid papers and things of that nature. That's very good. You can look at the top and sides. So really right now, the market's kind of low, but I would give $50. If I saw this at a shop or at a space, I would probably give $50. What keeps this from being a higher end is simply the same thing, everything. You see little ticks and tears, and once you start getting past the good grade, it gets more difficult. It really is a different type of book. So, but if you had this in your thing, $50, I think this is going up. All right, this is Knowledge Through Color. You love these styles of book because this is not just a magic book, but it is a series. Like this is a collection of books.
Yes.
And
there was a series.
And you have a collection of the types of series of books like this in your collection.
I have a few of those, yes.
Okay.
I don't have that particular one, but I have others like it.
Oh, depending on what happens out here. So I looked this up, and each of these books, if you get a further collection, is about $30. And there's hundreds of them. So this is one of those pieces that have a secondary value. This one's nice. I would, unfortunately, because of some of the damage in here, it's pretty early printing, but it's not the first printing. This is the second printing. Unfortunately, it also has, it was a part of a library, so it's got some stamps on it. Isn't that nice, that?
Mm-hmm.
But the color and the pictures are pristine. That's one of the things that. So this one.
And at the time, that would have marked it as a premium paperback.
And it was. So the price of this at the time was $1.95 in 1973. Today, this one, I would probably price it about $15.
Or what that $1.95 was worth in 1973.
Possibly. It's held up. This one I like. Magic and Witch Complete by Polson. This one, teenager, my time, it was very popular. It spells, charms, and incantations. They really went after it. Intrigue, frighten, you ought to be. This book is the real thing. Can you? I was almost embarrassed by that.
Well, no, that was a typical way that metaphysical books were sold at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you know what it is, so this was the first pressing. So anyone who wants to know, this says it was the 6th printing. You always see those lines of number. Most people don't know. So this was a 1979. First printing was in 1970. But what they didn't tell you is that it's not really a first print. It's not first, because that's a sixth printing. But this is really early on, 1970. Good quality. This is the New American Library. Chinks in the corners, some edging. Definitely, this is a $50 to $60 book. And I think if you hold it for a while, I think this has a chance of going really up because there's a lot more of that type of information. So 65 and rising. So these are more or less, you can see these everywhere. This is Dictionary of Lee. It's a pretty good book, 1970s. This one particularly has writing in it, which also lowers the value unless it has the author's name. We'll see another one, Understanding that sort of thing. And this was a fourth printing in 1974. It's okay. A lot of better astrology books. This isn't a good, these things have changed. If you're a historical astrologer, you'd pay $10, $12, $15 for it. Mm-hmm. But not much more. I mean, this is not a long-term value now. This is a long play. If you really want to save it, this is a 30, 40, 50-year savings for that. Same author, Dale Lee. This one, fortunately, has been pretty damaged, but it's nice. It's got, if you ever see that edging, it means mold or possibly moisture damage, unfortunately. But this is still a very good book. It's a good cut. And, of course, it has what I really want to say. This is the first printing of the 1969 Paperback Library Edition, which means there's probably a hardcover or they're conceiving of a hardcover somewhere. But this is the first time they brought out paperback, and a lot of times they may have just brought this one out to paperback. I actually know there's a hardcover version of this. So that's the first edition of the paperback. That brings it up to $100. That immediately does. And you like this book, right, Don?
Mm-hmm.
The Secrets of Psychic Phenomena Revealed.
It's very interesting sometimes to go back and read the books of that era because they did tend to be a lot more sensationalist than they would be today. But, if you take it for what it is, they can still have some very, very good information. And sometimes things you won't find today.
All right. So if you found this in mint condition right now, I'd pay $500 for it. Just to let you know. If this were in a little better condition, $100, maybe $75. As people are looking for more collections, this will become a little bit more valuable. So it's good to hold on to. There you go. Brad Stagger. Most prolific author out there, and this was a particularly good one. Minds Through Space and Time, one of my favorites. How about you, Brad Stagger? Psychic City, Chicago.
Well, that's true.
We do love that.
A book about many of our friends. And
this one's got a nice spine, nice edge. This is really good. This is good condition. Everybody asks me what's fine. We don't have a fine here. I will show you someday what a fine condition is. But the vast majority of books you have to assume are good to fair to start with. And of course, this is 1971, and I love seeing so little printing. If you really had to make a really fast exposure, like you just couldn't look through them, and nobody was going to let you really look at them to judge them, the less printing on this page, the more closer it is to a first edition. Isn't that an interesting little thing? This is a 1971. This is literally a first printing. So that's really cool. And his is easy enough to find as first printing because he was like, once they printed them, they printed a massive amount of them and then never printed them again unless it really took off. So this is it. It depends if you're a Stryger fan. This is 60, I do a lot. I've been seeing a lot of 60, 65, 70. That's where the market's bearing for paperbacks and things of that nature. This one, I wouldn't pay it today, but I guarantee at some point in the future, I'll see $100 on this and going, that's a good buy. But that's not today, but I think it's coming too. Really quick, this is the Alyssa Crowley biography by C.D. Remwell. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. This is a special edition they put out in 1969 because they want to honor, 60 years of Crowley and things like that. It has a little damage in the spine and everything else. If you're a real Crowley stuff is really pricey. This is the special edition. I looked it up, $25, $30. Better condition, maybe $50, $55.
And if one is a collector of Crowley, of course, it would be highly desirable. I
think as this is a book that's disappearing. So Crowley every uptick in Crowley raises it up. So this is the best speculative piece. If you were buying something for speculation, this is the best speculation piece. And last but least, Dr. Raymond Buckland. I saved the best for last. I think I have a softness for Dr. Buckland. We have a lot of video of him. We have a lot of every tape. This is one of the few times people did it. And of course, this is 1969. You see all the thank yous, all the limited amount. This is obviously, this is absolutely, I want to make sure I'm looking at it right. Printed in the United States. So this is a first printing by Ace Books, who often went straight to paperback. There's never been a hardcover. First one, in fact, it's got Doctor on it, I would say. So let's start out. This would be, I can tell you, if you see one of these, it's a good judge of 200 to 250. If it were more pristine, it would be more, but this one, so any of these would be, if you got the cover attached, no breaking in the spine, and a pocket guide to the supernatural. This is great. So this would be $100 to $200, and I think as time goes on, because of the limited numbers of these, this will speculate higher. I think occult books are all that. So that's our paperback edition from the box of Rob. What do you think of that, Don?
Well, there's some very interesting books there.
And then I know he's eyeing a few for his collection. He just won't tell you that.